Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us on a webinar Wednesday. But you know what? Today isn't really Wednesday. We are recording this in advance. Apologize for a little bit of a conflict, but I did not want to say no to Bobby D. I want him to share all his information with you today. So we're pre-recording this. I've already asked him a whole bunch of questions that I think you will be able to enlighten our audience with. Bobby, thank you so much. I know that you are the founder and fundraising auctioneer at Call to Auction, and you are the voice behind that for over 20 years of experience from the stages and cheering people on to donate and give from the heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, Lori, thank you so much for having me. I'd love to share my experience and my expertise and my knowledge, and sometimes some fumbles as well too. And I'm definitely an open book when it comes to fundraising events and fundraising auctions. And I'm super excited to be here to share with your audience.
Awesome. Thank you. So we do have an agenda that we had kind of put together, knowing that these questions come up all the time from organizations, and we might as well hear it from the man that's there in the room for hours and hours and years and years. Do you want to start with a little bit of background about Call to Auction and your services and your experiences, and then we can kind of get into more of the nitty-gritty?
Absolutely. Well, I'm super proud. This year we are celebrating 11 years in business. I've been a fundraising auctioneer for over 20 years. I'm actually a second generation auctioneer. My mom's an auctioneer. My dad's an auctioneer. My two brothers are auctioneers. I married an auctioneer, Aaron Ward, who is a third generation auctioneer, whose mom was an auctioneer, whose stepdad was an auctioneer. And then we have a fourth generation auctioneer who is up and coming. He is selling comic books on the app called Whatnot, and he is live almost every week and has sold thousands and thousands of dollars in that online auction format. So we eat, sleep, and breathe auctions all the time, helping nonprofits coast to coast. And it's my passion to be able to help nonprofits have better events and create better events and maximize the events that they have, because you can do better, nonprofits. You always can do better. And I know that's why Lori and Auctria are so dedicated to this movement that I call it. This is the fundraising event movement, and Call to Auction is very proud and dedicated to help nonprofits really succeed in their fundraising at the events and then beyond, because we all know that fundraising begins the next day, and we get to have all the fun at the party the night before and raise as much as we can, but then it's all about fostering and stewarding those relationships beyond the event. And we really focus on action because auction is action with you in it. There you go. Bad joke of the day. But that's really what we strive to do, is put that action in your fundraising auction. And we do that by working with a fantastic and experienced and energetic team of fundraising auctioneers. And we're able to help nonprofits across the nation, all the way from New York to California, from Minnesota all the way down to Florida and Texas. And we've got a great team, and we've got a great network of auctioneers that are out there to help put that action in the auction.
The timeliness of your comment that you just said about nurturing, because it all happens the day after, is so apropos, because this week is Giving Tuesday, and people did a huge push for Giving Tuesday. Organizations got a lot of people motivated and made a lot of donations. And of course, the email that we send out afterwards is, hey, congratulations on your great, amazing Giving Tuesday event. Now's the time to nurture them, thank your donors, etc. And that's exactly what you're teeing up for the event fundraiser, also nurturing them the day after.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a special gift that we're going to give everybody at the end of this webinar. So we're going to make sure everybody sticks around for that. And it's very, very perfectly timing with Giving Tuesday, as well as the day after your fundraising gala.
Awesome. You're spectacular. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Absolutely. I love this. I love geeking out over fundraising events and then sharing what we've learned over here this past year in 2025.
And I love grabbing the information and sprinkling it throughout the rest of our webinars throughout the year. So should we start off with maximizing every moment in the room?
Oh, yes.
Would that be okay with you?
Absolutely. And when we talk about maximizing now, there's a difference maximizing and optimizing and efficientizing, one of those words, creating a more efficient event. I'm all about maximizing the event. Sure, you can optimize the event and do more with less, but at the end of the day, you're not putting yourself in the spot to really raise as much money as possible. Now, when I talk about maximizing, it's really throwing everything at your event that you can to raise as much money as you can. Making sure that you're investing in the right check-in software and the online bidding software, making sure that you're investing in the right auctioneer and the right auctioneer team that's going to be there to be able to help you with that. But then also investing in the production, investing in the planning, investing in the event design to really make your gala to be as spectacular as possible. And when we're talking about maximizing every moment, you have to look at every moment from when the doors open to when the last guests leave, and really creating what we call a donor journey, through this. And the donor journey actually begins many months before your fundraising event, especially for those that are planning something maybe in the spring of 26 or the fall of 26. We are at the beginning of this maximization of all of the moments that are leading up to what I like to call the golden goosebump moment, which is where everyone's on the edge of their seats and they've got their paddle and they're ready to give. But you really have to maximize every moment that's within that. And the way that we do that is we don't just look at your event as a program. We look at the entire event from, again, doors opening to last guests leaving as a performance. And you are creating this performance with your partners that you have, your vendors that you have, your planner, your auction team, your check-in system, all of that. You are creating this performance that you're really looking to design a experience for your guests. And when you design that experience for the guests, this is how they're going to remember your event and remember your nonprofit when the next time that communication comes out, or when that Giving Tuesday or that year-end giving campaign comes out, whatever it might be. It's this experience that your donors and your guests are going to remember forever. And you get to choose of how you want to design this. Do you want to design a positive experience, or do you want to just kind of half-ass it and maybe design a negative experience, which nobody wants? If you're watching this, you really want to design that exceptional positive experience that's out there, and you have all of the tools in your hands to create this performance, to create this beautiful artwork that is a fundraising event.
What I'm hearing is this is a comprehensive, holistic conversation about this. This isn't just a transactional activity that you're getting people through the door, they're sitting down, they're raising a paddle, and then that's it.
No, this is a full experiences that we're looking to create. And it, again, like I say, it's this experience that donors are going to remember. And from this experience, and we create a shared experience of individuals that are in the room together, that's where you create what I like to call a collective effervescence. And when we have this collective effervescence, then people are feeling that the mojo, they're feeling the energy. And then that's what they're never going to forget, because people are going to forget, what you said. They're never going to forget how you made them feel. So if we can make them feel this effervescence, then when they're coming up in, when your nonprofit is coming up in the conversation around the dinner table, maybe at during the holidays, or maybe around the water cooler, and saying, I was at this gala the other night and this happened. We want your event to be in such a positive light that your now guests and your donors are now your best ambassadors. And when they have this experience, then that's exactly what can happen.
So, okay, I'm in the car with you. I am a passenger. Tell me what that mission-driven conversation looks like. Tell me what that looks like, as I go on the journey with you.
So we want to put mission in front of everything that you are doing, from the pre-event marketing that you have with your conversations that you're having on social media, the information that you're sending out within your emails, the expectations that you're setting on your website. You really want to put that mission out there and talk about the impact that you're having, and then using what I like to call donor-centric fundraising terminologies. It's goes back to the days of PBS and us watching Sesame Street. It's viewers like you, it's donors like you, it's individuals that are generous that make our work possible and make this impact possible, and we couldn't do it without you. So always putting that mission and that impact out there, and that donor-centric fundraising vernacular, to making sure that that the donor, they're in the hero spot of that. So as the preparation for the event, that's where you've got to keep the mission going. But then once the event happens, like, what again is that donor journey? People are entering your space. What does that look like? What does that feel like? I love working with the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. A lot of times they'll put their they'll put the kids, the club kids, right out front, cheering and hooting and hollering and big thank you signs and whatnot, and we're they're putting their mission first, and people are, as they're walking in, they're seeing that, they're feeling that. And then to see the different impact points or messaging that can be put through what I call the connection hour, not the cocktail hour, because cocktail kind of puts that connotation that we're there just to get wasted. I don't like that. We're there to make connections happen, connecting donors to the mission, and we're connecting them to each other as well. And when we can make that connection, that's where that collective effervescence happens, and then that's where this magical fundraising moments are able to happen. But it's really, again, building what I call that mission-driven arc, or kind of building up towards the ladder, or the mountaintop. And that's that mountaintop, that pinnacle, is where your fundraising needs to be happening at your event. And we're down here at the bottom of the mountain right now. And if you remember The Price is Right, there was the little guy that went doo 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 doo. Yep, we're building and building. And once we get to the top of that mountain, and that's where your live fundraising magic needs to happen.
Okay, so we're at the top of the peak.
Yes.
We're at that moment. What is that like?
So that moment, again, like I call it the golden goosebump moment, is where everybody has felt and they've seen this and they've got the connection to the mission. This is where the action happens. This is where that call to action happens. This is where the call to auction happens. This is where those magical moments can be created. Now, if you're using the live auction within your event, you definitely want to make sure that you've got that professional, that individual that's there to lead this. I know that there's many out there that are still using volunteers. Shame on you. This is time. This is a part of the event evolution. You need to invest in a professional fundraising auctioneer to making sure that that experience is as positive as possible, because nobody likes what they call a record scratch. They said, what? No, nobody likes that. We want people to be like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. That's that auction action that's created, having those great live auction packages, having some mission-centric live auction packages. This is something that we've seen over in 2025 that's been working really great. An example of a mission-focused live auction package is there's an organization that I had worked with that has these different greenhouses, and they have individuals with developmental disabilities working inside of these greenhouses. So what they did is they created a dinner, a meal for 20 people inside one of these greenhouses, with the vegetables and the flowers and everything that they grow on their farms. And that's that's what people are eating and experiencing at this meal. So this is a example of a mission-driven or mission-focused live auction package. So making sure that you get these great live auction packages, and something that people can't find anywhere else, and then making sure that you have the information out there and setting expectations and opportunities to buy these live auction packages, which is so important. Gone are the days of surprise, we're having a live auction, surprise, we have this trip to Hawaii, surprise, we have this dinner for 20. No, you got to tell people about this, and you got to, again, create this desire, this desirability of these items. And the more people that you have interested in these items, the better your live auction is going to be. So live auction, you got to get it, you got to make it great, and that is such a vital component to your fundraising gala.
And I would be remiss if I didn't remind people that you can put your live auction information on your event website on Auctria. You can put photos in there. You can also put videos in there. And that's a great way to pre-sell, pre-engage people for your live auction, so that when you're hearing about the trip to Mexico or the mission-driven auction in the garden, it's not the first time that they're hearing about it.
Amen, sister. High five.
I'm picking up what you're putting down, man.
Right on. So auction's one component of the this mission driven arc that we've got there, but the most important is that call to action, that paddle raise, that cash call, that fund a need, the fund the kid, the fund the wish, whatever you want to call it. But this is where you have the opportunity to really engage 100% of the audience in this call to action. Now you've got your auctions, silent auctions, and live auctions are very exclusive. There's only so many items that are there, and with those so many items, you only have that many donors or bidders that are going to be able to win those items to write a check directly to you. Here in this call to action, this paddle raise, this fund a need, whatever it's going to be, this is where you can engage. And we have had 100% participation in fundraising events where everybody is able to then raise their paddle. They are there to make a difference in your mission, in the impact that you have, and give at that level that's meaningful for them. For some people, 10,000, 25,000, 100,000 is meaningful. For others, $500, $250, $150 is meaningful. And that's the capacity that they have to give. What our goal is again, connecting individuals to the cause and creating that opportunity where 100% of your audience can give. Like, this is the key component, is getting 100% of your audience to be a part of your fundraising. And then when we start to look at the fundraising, that's the next day. If you can get 100%, that's 100% more relationships that you're able to now have these conversations beyond the event. So you got your live auction, you've got your paddle raise, and you got to make sure that those are as successful and maximized as possible.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Questions that people ask me all the time in our demos and our conversations is, what levels, how do we know what the right levels are for our paddle raise? What kind of gamification should we or should we not do at different levels, and or what kind of match should we offer or not offer at different levels?
So you've got to look harder. Yeah, that's a great question. I get this question all the time as well too, is looking at the capacity that you have in the room. Now, you could start at the $25,000 level. Who could give $25,000? If you don't have anybody in that room that's primed and ready to go at that $25,000 level, and have other people that have intention and have capacity to be able to give there, you're starting way too high, because you're just going to have crickets. Nobody wants crickets in the room. We want to kill those crickets, and we want to make sure that we're as successful as possible. Now, a $10,000 starting gift is probably going to be more appropriate, for the audience that you might have. But there are some that do start off their paddle race at the $100,000 level, and they've got 10, 15, 20 hands going up at that $100,000 level. So you really have to look at your donor demographics and look at the capacity that they have in that room and starting at an appropriate level. I would suggest starting at a lower level than what your maximum could be, and then working with your professional auctioneer, your asker that's there, to say, you know what? Is there anybody that would want to give higher? And sometimes that does create that atmosphere where people can give at a higher level. So finding out where that level is to start, and then finding out where, or figuring out what are your stair step levels down. Now, what has been happening over the past 20 years is we start at 10,000 and we go by half to 5,000 and half to 2,500 and then 1,000, 500, 250, and then 100 being the last level. But a trend that we've seen here in 2025 is being more creative with these levels. Maybe we're starting at the $12,000 level, and that's $1,000 a month to help this program. And then we're going to go to 6,000, and that's a half a year, and that helps us with these programs, and 3,000, and then 1,500, and different levels like that. One of the levels that I am really seeing a lot of participation is what I call the 365 level. $365, because this organization shows up every day of the year, 365 days. And what we're asking you is to be a partner with us at this 365 level and make a donation for $1 a day. Who can join us? And we've been seeing huge success in that. So that's an example of tying mission to the different levels you have. Now, Laura, you had asked about gamification, what I like to call incentivized giving opportunities, where
That's
we're
a nicer way to say it than I did.
you can go ahead and steal that. So incentivize giving opportunities. Now, there's a couple different ways to look at that. Now, you're creating incentives for people that might give at that $1,000 level to win something. Or maybe at the lowest level, maybe it's the $100 level, and we do what we call the paddle drop or the all in or whatever you want to call it. And then one donor is able to then win something else. So you can include about 2 of these incentivized gamification opportunities in your paddle raise or your fund a need. Now, I wouldn't want to do that at every level, because then all of a sudden now you're moving from the transformational giving opportunity that is the paddle raise, that is the fund the need, to more of a transactional. It's kind of like a give to get. Okay, what am I going to get, or what could I get right. from this? We want to keep people focused on the mission, but including a couple incentives like that, you can then pull out those that are a bit more transactional giving, that to say, okay, I want to be a part of this transformational moment. Maybe I'll get something from that, but it's not that they will, it's that maybe, and it's the maybe that gives them that opportunity to be a part of this fundraising movement that is your call to action paddle raise. So there's one incentive opportunity that you have. Now there's another incentive opportunity, and you talked about it, is the matching gifts opportunity. Now matching gift is huge incentivized giving opportunity to encourage, again, that 100% participation. And when individuals know that their gift is going to be matched, whether it's 1 time or 2 times, I've even seen it 3 times this year, where a corporation or a family foundation or a very generous individual donor comes to the plate and says, I'm going to match the entire paddle raise, or I'm going to match all the gifts at the $1,000 level, or I'm going to match every gift up to $25,000, whatever it might be. But this gives that opportunity for that individual donor to double their donation without actually having to double their donation, which is a great, great, great thing. This becomes an opportunity also for your major donor, your corporation partner, your family foundation partner, for them to leverage their donation as well too, and double the impact that they're going to give. So let's say they're going to give 50,000, but then we're going to use this as a matching gift challenge, where you're going to turn their 50,000 into another 50,000, and it's going to feel like they're giving 100,000. And that's really a exceptional way to be able to leverage the gift of this major donor, and double again their impact. And then in that case, that's a win-win-win. A win for the major donor, a win for your lower level donor, and then a win for your mission, and a win for your impact that you're having, and a win for your fundraising event to break all the records that you ever thought you could ever have.
Awesome. I've heard you mention in the past to create a culture of raising hands. Can you talk about that a little more?
Yeah, so it's the culture of philanthropy at your event is what I'm talking about when I talk about that. And it's creating that culture from, again, where we are at this point all the way up to that mountaintop, which is going to be at your event. And it really starts from the board of directors that you have and from your committee, that this event is about fundraising. Yes, we're going to have a good time. Yes, it's going to be a party. And yes, we're going to be there connecting with other people and rubbing elbows and kissing babies and all the things. But it's really about fundraising. So when you can build that culture of philanthropy within your committee and within your board of directors, then that's where that's able to then radiate out throughout the audience. So really putting that forward, that this event is about fundraising. Don't be afraid of the F word. This is a fundraising event. Yes, we're going to have fun. We're going to put FUN in the fundraising, but it's all about fundraising. And that is where you're creating that culture of philanthropy at your event, and then you're able to radiate it beyond the event as well.
I see it a lot of events. Sometimes at the top of the event, the auctioneer from the stage will say, everybody put up your paddle, let's practice, that sort of thing. Like that's muscle memory, right? Like you're doing that for behavioral psychology, correct?
Well, there's another reason for that as well too, is we are creating endorphins, or we're releasing endorphins from the brain when people raise their hand above their head, and whether they're raising their paddle or they're just throwing their hands in the air like they just don't care, they are releasing endorphins from their brain into their body. And these endorphins are the feel good chemicals that we get from all of the activities that we love. So the reason we do that is we're asking for that participation, and then we're releasing those endorphins. Even just now, I'm just like, ooh, I feel good.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah. One really interesting thing is the world's sport is football, right? The one where you actually kick the ball with your feet, not the throw, the American style, but it's football, it's soccer. And no matter what country you're in, no matter what language you speak, and no matter what the culture is of that space, when somebody kicks a goal and they score, what happens? Woo! That's right. No matter where you are in the world, that's because that's a natural instinct to celebrate and to release endorphins like this. And that's why we get everybody to raise their paddles at the beginning. So we are really giving social permission that this is what we do. And again, this is the cultural philanthropy that we have, that we are raising our paddles here this evening, but it is creating that biochemical response that it feels good when you do this. When I do this, I feel good. And that's what I want to do when I come to an event, is I want to feel good during and after the event. And that's how you can do it.
That's awesome. Thank you. How many paddle numbers do you have laying around on your desk? I just have to know.
300. I've always got a stack of these because you never know. Sometimes organizations are like,
you never know when a fundraiser is going to break out.
That's right. We need some paddles. I got you covered. No problem. Lori, I want to really share with you really a quick tip that your viewers can use right away to raise more money. And maybe this is a way that they can underwrite the services of their professional auctioneer as well, too. So you've got your paddle with your numbers on the front. But if we flip this around, right here on the back, this real estate is super valuable. You can sell this real estate here and put sponsor logos on. Like here, you can put some verbiage. You can talk, ask some really thought-provoking questions. You can put some impact numbers back there, but you can turn the back of your paddle into a very valuable piece of real estate at your fundraising event. And you can even at the bottom as well to put a little website here for your sponsor, or even your own website or whatever it might be, but making sure that you're using both sides of the paddle to raise as much money as possible, not just by people raising it, but also on the back here. So there you go. There's a $10,000, $25,000 idea for you all.
That's a perfect segue to talk about unlocking hidden revenue for the event night. And one of the things that I've heard you mention in the past is the spontaneity factor.
Yes. Oh, spontaneity. That is, this is such a important part of the fundraising event, is to create this authentic, spontaneous, irrational generosity opportunity. And it's that spontaneity is what really sparks that experience that your donors and your guests are going to have. It's really hard to plan this, but it's having someone that's on stage that's able to build these spontaneous moments and kind of put that magic that's in there. Just the other day, I was actually in Puerto Rico at a fundraising event, and I had asked this. It's a smaller grassroots organization. They had never done an auction before, and I had asked the audience, I'm like, how many people have never been to an auction before? And every hand went up in the air, and I'm like, oh, okay. So we're going to, I'm going to share with you how these auctions work and how it is to bid in an auction. So this, again, was a very grassroots organization. And I said, all right, somebody grab me a cold beer from the bar. So they handed me a cold beer, and I was like, all right, friends, we're just going to have an auction. This is for real money, and I'm just going to show you how this is going to work. Does anyone want to start the bidding for this ice cold beer for $1? I got $1. Anybody give $2, $2, $3, $5, $7, $10, $20, $30, $40, $50. Sold the ice cold beer for $100. And that right there was a showing of this irrational generosity. Because, I mean, who in their right mind would spend $100 on a beer that they could go get for free from the bar, right? But it's that spontaneity, it's that irrational generosity is what we're really trying to create. And when you combine the energy with your mission and with the impact that you're having and keeping that forward, these are the opportunities that can present themselves. So maybe in the auction, somebody's going to give, $10, $15, $20,000 on an item that might only be worth a couple $1,000s. There'll be opportunities in your paddle raise where someone came in and they were like, well, I'm just going to give 500 or 1,000. But because of the storytelling that you have and the spontaneity opportunities that you have, then maybe they can give 2,500 or they'll give $5,000 and give above much bigger than what their initial budget was, or the dollar figure that they had in mind. And it's these spontaneous, organic experiences and opportunities that do present themselves when this is done right. Again, remember, we're talking about designing this performance. This stuff doesn't just happen, but it does happen, and you've got to have someone that's there to be able to foster these magical moments that happen.
Right, because sometimes somebody will have planned on spending something, and then they'll hear you say something, and they'll put their paddle up again for another level. And that's when you're triggering that, correct?
Oh, yes. I love donors that do give at multiple levels. And it really shows the audience that's like, look, this is what we're here to do. We are here to give. And you can give it one level. You can give it all the levels. You can give it multiple levels. And sometimes, especially like when we get to that lowest level, and again, unlocking that hidden revenue that's out there is doing, what I call the paddle sweep or the paddle drop or the all in. Friends, if you've given at a level already before, but this is a great chance to give one more time, and we want to create 100% participation or see 100% participation in this audience. So let's just everybody come together and donate $100. And then all of a sudden, all the paddles go up. You're like, oh my gosh, there's 300 paddles. I can't call these all out. Let's just gather them up and then maybe give a prize away, from that opportunity. And it's creating, again, those spontaneous moments for people to give again and again and again.
Would you call that the same as a micro moment, or are those different?
Yeah, that's one of those micro upgrades that you can use. Like I was talking about, the back of the paddle is a sponsorship. Using your paddle drop or your paddle sweep is kind of that micro upgrade, at the end. Maybe during the live auction, you could create a opportunity for multiple people to bid on items. Maybe it's an item that can get sold 2 or 3 or 4 different times, or creating, like we were talking about earlier, this meal in the garden where instead of selling the whole package for 20 people to one person, what if you could do this? What if you could ask 20 people to buy a ticket to that particular night to have the dinner in the garden? And then now you're getting these micro live auction donors that are there that couldn't necessarily buy like a $5,000 or $10,000 package, but they want to be in the room where it happens, and they'll donate that $500. They'll give $1,000 to buy that ticket to be a part of that exceptional dining mission-based experience. So that's another element that you can add in here to add to your fundraising experience and upgrade your fundraising results.
So do you put that item up as one massive item and do the whole kind of stop the bidding? Who else wants to go? You're going, you're going, you're going.
Well, so
do you know that in advance that you're going to break it up?
We want to make sure that that's in advance, and it's kind of, we call it a sign-up party or a buy-in party, and making sure that we're putting that out there beforehand so that people know that they can buy a ticket to this. And again, that's, making sure that they're on the event software and that they see that when they look at that item, they're like, oh, that's something that I want to be a part of. You also have to pick a very specific date as well too. Like this is going to happen on April 22nd at 6 p.m. at this garden, and we only have 20 seats that are available. How many tickets would you like to have? And then that's where you get in that live auction, and then you can say, it's like, all right, we've only got 20 tickets. How many people want to go to this for $500 a ticket? And all of a sudden now you get 100 hands in the air, and you're like, well, guess what? We've got to go up in price now. $500, $600, $700, $1,000. Okay, now we've got 20 sold 20 times, for those 20 tickets that are there.
This is why you hire a professional. This is it. I mean, you guys have seen everything, you've done everything, you've tried it out, you've tried it out and succeeded, you've tried it out and failed, and you keep with the stuff that has succeeded. I mean, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And
Well,
you need to have that experience having done it and not just hearing somebody talk about it in a little square box on a webinar.
Well, and that's my passion in life, and this is my mission in life, is to be able to help nonprofits have better events. So, as we're here having this conversation, I've also got podcasts. I'm also putting out, tons of different resources and blogs and different things that are out there just to help nonprofits, no matter where they are out there in the world, to have better events. Now, I would love to work with you, nonprofit professional, to work with you directly, but even indirectly, if I'm able to provide some ideas and some inspiration for you all to take this back to your event, then I've done my job. I've fulfilled my mission.
That's awesome. Okay. People. Board members will buy a ticket, a table captain, they sit there, they're like, I did my part. I bought a ticket. Oh, I already gave tickets out to everybody else. How do you motivate these people? How do you put them in a participatory role? How do you get them to be active so that those around them are active?
So I've got a saying, more paddles up equals more paddles up. So everybody that is a influencer of the event, your board members, your committee members, your table hosts, your table captains, your table sponsors even, they are influencers of the success of this event. And we need them to be active participants in this. We need them to raise their paddles in the paddle race. We need them to bid early in the auction. We don't need them to win. Yes, we would love them to win, but we don't need them to win. We just need them to bid. And then by using a professional auctioneer, we're going to find out who the highest bidder really is. But by people bidding early, it creates that energy. It creates that spontaneity. It creates that air of irrational generosity, is what we're trying to create. And it's having these conversations and setting these expectations with your influencers of the event that this is what needs to happen. The more energy and the more positivity and the abundant mindset that everyone is walking into this room with, that is going to radiate out across the ballroom to make sure that everybody is focused on what the mission at hand is, which is to raise as much money and to identify as many relationships as possible. And it really comes from that participation and being a good leader. It's like, we need somebody to be a good line leader, like when you were in kindergarten.
Right.
Be a good leader. And that's what your event influencers need to be. They need to be those leaders that are there. One big thing that you can get them to do besides raising their paddles is, when it's time to be exuberant and to be energetic and to be excited, influencers, you need to do that. Get loud, have fun. When it's time to watch the video or it's time to listen to the person on stage, we need you again to be good leaders and to focus. Quiet your neighbor. This is really important. We have to watch this, because it's that storytelling that's so vital that helps us to build the fundraising beyond that. So when it's time to get loud, get loud. When it's time to be quiet, simmer down. It's okay. You're gonna have a great time no matter what. But there is times to be excited, and then there is times to be quiet, and it comes from the leadership and the influencers that you have at your event.
And can I give a shout out, and can you expand upon, it doesn't necessarily have to be the person that's telling them this, the person that's running the actual auction. There may be somebody else in your organization that has good relationships, that are better at that role in guiding them and educating them in when to stand up, when to sit down. It doesn't necessarily have to be the person that's running the actual auction, because that person's pretty busy at that moment, or, events or tickets or whatever. And there might be somebody else that's better fit for having that conversation with them.
Boy, you teed it up just perfect, Lori. So I work much deeper than most auctioneers across the nation do with their clients. I actually have a board activation activity that I host during the board meeting leading into the event, to talk about these opportunities that a board and committee can optimize and maximize to make sure that the success of the event is as big as it can be. These are the areas that they can influence. So having a third party to be able to come in, because as a development director or as an event director, you know that when you're sharing with your board members, sometimes it falls on deaf ears because you're the ones that are continually saying this over and over and over and over again. But when you bring in that third party, their ears perk up quite a bit. And we've seen great success over this past year for those organizations that I've been able to present this to. And we've broken all records, have set high fundraising goals because we get those influencers behaving the right way and really focused on that success. So yes, 100% right.
Wow. I thank you.
It's not often we get Lori to be speechless.
Because I feel the same way, you know, and this is off topic and off our but you know, I'm the tech, you're the auctioneer. We do our roles, but I feel so passionate about helping organizations understand the entire process so that they can, at that moment, have that maximization, that those dollars flowing and it be easy. At that point, it's easy. You know, it's like looking at I don't want to say an iceberg because, you know, hit the Titanic, but you know what I mean? There's so much work that's happening underneath. There's so much pre-stuff to get to that beautiful rainbow, that pinnacle, that moment where, you know, you do your final tally at the end of the night. You're like, oh my gosh, we have raised this many dollars and we're going to feed this many people and shelter that many people and educate and provide research dollars and things like that. And that moment, you don't have that without all the other underlying activities.
It doesn't just magically appear. This is where we're designing and implementing and maximizing your event. Right. And you can't just say, we're going to have this event on this day at this time and just hope it all falls into place.
Right.
It's all that preparation. It's all of that planning. I was like this, you know, it's the 7 Ps. Prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance. So you got to make sure that you have that prior proper planning put in place. God, that's a lot of Ps.
Should we talk about some revenue levers beyond auctions, or should we move ahead to some trends for 2026?
Well, yes. So this is going to segue into the 2026. Now,
I'm in.
So you've got to think outside the box, and it can't just be the raffle, and it can't just be the silent auction, and it can't just be the live auction, and it can't just be the paddle raise anymore. Now, I don't want you to nickel and dime your guests, but what I do want you to do is think outside of the fundraising box. Now, there's been some organizations that are switching their silent auction into more mystery boxes where they put all of these different things. Yeah, you've seen this, and it works great. We've been seeing some buy it now opportunities in the live auction where it's like, all right, friends, we've got this great trip to Mexico. The value's at $4,000. Is there anybody that just wants to buy it now and raise your paddle at $2,500? And all of a sudden you get 10 paddles in the air. Sold. And then it saves you some of that valuable program time that's there. Creating a curated silent auction is so valuable, and not just throwing everything that you got for free from the committee and from the board. It's okay. This is this style of event, and let's say it's a night in Paris, and we've got some items in your silent auction that are based on your theme of the night. So really curating and being selective of what your silent auction items are, and not just having this giant yard sale that's at your event. You want to have your guests see that you've put some time and put some energy into this, and then adding in all of these different kind of micro fundraising elements that are in there. And it's evolving the fundraising experience, or evolving this fundraising movement that we're talking about, and looking at 2026. And these are some of the trends that are happening, is again, creating more of a performance and creating more of a production and creating this experience beyond just the rubber chicken dinner, the boring silent auction, the 50-50 raffle, the 10 item live auction, and then the paddle race, or maybe not even having a paddle. I can't believe that people still are having events and they're not doing paddle races. It just blows my mind. So you've got to make sure that you include these major elements, but think creatively about these different elements and how can you make it different than what your guests have seen at other events. And if you can create something different than what they've seen at other events, then this is going to help you stand out. And then this is going to create that experience that they're never going to forget. And then when it becomes the end of the year or becomes tax time or it becomes, oh, I've got a good windfall of money, I want to donate this, they're going to remember you.
Absolutely. And I don't necessarily see, nickel and diming first a blinky ring or a heads and tails or this and that. I think different people like to spend their money differently.
Oh, yeah.
And what may appeal to one person may not appeal to another. And it may feel like a litany of things that you have available for sale and that you're asking people for, but nobody's going to participate in all of them. However, I would give you a lot more money for a chocolate cake than I would for a golden raffle ticket. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah.
So how do you appeal to me and my husband at the same time? Well, you offer him a raffle ticket and you offer me the chocolate cake. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that's why you need to have diverse fundraising opportunities at your event. You're going to have, people that love the chocolate cake or they love to get something in return of their donation. That's, a transactional donor. They want to give and they want to get. You're going to have, on the other side, you're going to have a transformational donor. That's right. Someone that just wants to give. They're, the pure philanthropist. They don't want anything in return. Well, they do. They want to feel good about it. But it's not about, getting an item or getting something in return. And then you're going to have those that are a bit kind of games of chance style person, kind of like your husband buying the 50-50 raffle ticket, buying the golden ticket, whatever it might be. They really enjoy to be able to give in that way. Now, you can have an individual be all three of these types of donors and give a little bit here, give a little bit there, give a little bit there. But then it's like, how could we get to cross-pollinate the different donor personas with these different elements that are there? And then we go back to the beginning of the conversation. We talk about this paddle drop. We talk about this incentivized giving opportunity. We talk about the stand-up party in the live auction, getting people to buy tickets to this garden party, whatever it might be. Now you're blending these different fundraising opportunities, and it's not just one thing for one donor persona. It's so many different things for all of the donor personas that are out there.
And is the donor psychology shifting at all now?
Oh my gosh, yes. So we're actually seeing here in 2025 live auctions being as big as they've ever been. Now, previous 2023, 2024, we saw that people were just giving a lot more than they were getting. They were, being more transformational, more philanthropic. But now I think the evolution of economies and different, tax regulate, different things like that people are again looking to get quite a bit more for what their donation is, and then they're blending their travel budget with their philanthropy budget, and they're kind of killing two birds with one stone. They're giving to this favorite organization that they have, but then they also might be getting that amazing trip to Bali or Napa or Tuscany or whatever it might be. So it's a win-win of that. So this is a trend that we've seen in 2025 where live auctions are really, really shining when done correctly and when you have the right items to, that are in the auction. Now, you just can't throw everything at it. You got to be, again, curated and strategic about these items to then set yourselves up for as big a success as possible.
Well, that's my next question. How long can the run a show go? Shorter, longer?
It keeps getting shorter. We are in the age of the TikTok attention span where people are like swiping, like you used to be able to get people to watch your micro content for a minute. Now it's like 15 seconds. Like if you can't get what you're talking about across in 15 seconds, they're just going to swipe and keep going. Boop, 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 boop. Next. So the same thing is happening with your fundraising event. We're starting to see a lot of events go from that 4 or 5 hour monster gala to where it's more of like a 2.5 hour curated experience and design production to where guests are coming in, 35, 45 minutes of connection time, that mix and mingle time, that networking time, shorter program, 25, 35-minute program, which includes your curated live auction and your specialized call to action paddle raise that's in there. And then it's thank you, good night. Let's celebrate the generosity, and then let's continue that networking. That valuable networking time is what your donors and what your guests are, really there for. Yes, they're there to help fund your mission, but they're also there to rub elbows and shake hands and make new connections. So if we can give them what they want, then we're going to get them to give what we want, which is their time, their talent, their treasure, their team, their attention. And when done effectively, and you don't need that 5 hours to do that, you can do it in about 2.5 hours of your fundraising event.
So does that mean polished script to keep people on track, or an authentic voice, or how do you get to that point so that it's nice and tight, but not willy-nilly with
So I like to say fundraising events are jazz. It's jazz, baby. So we're creating a structure, and within that structure, we can have some improvisation. We can have some fluidity within that, and that authenticity, like you said. But you need to make sure that the presenters and the speakers and the people that are actively participating in your program have that ability to be able to flex, to be able to stay in that moment and not just be so scripted and dum. You need to have people that are dynamic in their speaking opportunities. Now, if you have someone that's not, that's where video gets to come in. That's where you get to utilize that video and work with a professional video producer to create that very succinct, very effective storytelling on video, and then really springboarding beyond, off of that video to get into the fundraising, to get into your auction, to get into your paddle raise.
I do feel like in the events when you do have live and then video and then live and then something, you've got this kind of natural wave, this soft undulation of moving people forward in the program. Yeah,
absolutely. Like when you look at the live performances that are out there in the world, the Taylor Swift concert, the Super Bowl halftime show, the Sphere in Las Vegas, it is a multi-dimensional experience. It's not just what they're seeing, it's not just what they're hearing, it's everything combined together. So when again you look at your event as that performance, what are these different elements that you can include in that so that you're touching on all the senses? What are they, what are they seeing? What are they hearing? What are they feeling? What are they tasting? What are they smelling? How do we tap on all of the senses? And then when we do that, then that's where we light up the brain, we release the endorphins, build that feel good moment. And then we get them at that golden goosebump moment and then make that call to action. Here's where we want you to be a part of us. Raise your paddle and join us.
So I think I've heard you call that an experience first event. Is that what you're kind of distilling that down to?
Yes, 100%. You're creating the experience that people are never going to forget.
I love that. And then the return of the paddle raise. This is the #1 revenue generator, correct?
Yes. There are many events. I would say probably 25 to 30% of the events that we hosted in 2025 were paddle raise only events, where that was the full focus of their fundraising event, is giving that opportunity for 100% of the audience to be involved in the fundraising. And when you are hosting a 2.5 hour, what I've coined the term is the anti-gala, then you really only have so much time for that effective fundraising. And the most effective fundraising is going to be that paddle raise. Now you can include some of these incentivized giving opportunities, with a little bit of that gamification, with those matching fund opportunities, but really looking at the opportunity you have to engage 100% of the audience. And that's what many organizations, when they're looking to drastically evolve their gala from what it used to be to what it can be, that's what they're really looking at. They're like, okay, how do we bring this entire audience together and create that collective giving experience?
We're seeing that too. In that situation, are people still moving into a dining room and sitting at a table of 8, a table of 10, or are they in like a I don't want to say a conference room, in a theater type seating?
Well, it can be all of them. So you can have your theater type, seating where, certain organizations, theater groups like that and performance groups like that works out great. There's other organizations where instead of having everybody join in and sit at designated seats, it's more of an open seating opportunity. Maybe there's some more high tops that are out there, and it's a more of a organic mix and mingle. But then the program again has to be very compelling. It has to be very tight to capture that attention, and then to build that engagement and those different opportunities for the donors to be involved in the program. It's not just them there watching the program, they're a part of the program. So it, again, really depends on the organization you have. It depends on the space that you have. And then it depends on the type of experience that you want to create. And if you don't know what you want to create, you got to talk with your vendor partners to be able like, okay, well, what are some opportunities we can do? And this is the goals of what we have as an organization this year.
I have enjoyed every moment of this conversation in monopolizing all the questions that we get to ask. And I'm sorry that it is not live for Q&A, but how do people get in touch with you? I do have your website here, and I know you love chatting with people and having one-on-one conversations like this.
Absolutely. You can go to calltoauction.com. We just relaunched our website, and this is where you're going to have a ton of resources. This is where our podcast lives. We've got a ton of different downloads that are available, and we're going to give you a special gift here in just a minute. But you go into our website, learn about what we do, get out there and see what this fundraising event evolution is really looking like, and then all the things that we're able to bring to the table to help you with that pre-event consultation, the ambassador and volunteer coaching, really planning and strategizing your live auction and your paddle raise moments. And then you get to see us in action as well too, and learn about our diverse, experienced, energetic team that's out there, and see who we're able to work with. But at Call to Auction, we are dedicated to your fundraising success. Please reach out and schedule a call with us. We do offer 30-minute consultation calls with no expectations involved. If you like, at the end of the conversation, you want to continue the conversation and talk about, hey, we're able to work together deeper, more than happy to do that. If you don't want to schedule a conversation, that's okay too. Like I said, we've got tons of resources, lots of webinars, lots of podcasts, lots of information that's out there to, again, help you have a better fundraising event.
That's very generous. You promised us a gift.
Yes. My gift to you is what I call the fundraising event gratitude checklist. And Lori's going to have the link for you. And all you need to do is go in there, drop in your name, drop in your email, and we're going to send you this checklist. And this checklist has everything that you need to do to say thank you after the event, immediately within 12 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months. And then how does that lead into next year's event? And this checklist is probably going to be the most valuable checklist that you'll ever have, because not only are you going to leverage this opportunity that you had from your great fundraising event, but then what that's going to be able to do is help you build relationships beyond the event. And it's those relationships, it's those philanthropic partnerships that you're identifying and you're cultivating and you're stewarding from the event and beyond, which are going to be able to transform your fundraising efforts forever. And by transforming that, you are now going to have you're going to be able to fulfill your mission, and you're going to create a bigger impact in the world.
Awesome. And you opened the door for me to talk about technology there, because if you're using the technology, then you've recorded everything. You've recorded your paddle raise, your live auctions, your silent auctions, your raffles. You know who gave what. You can pull that data in, you can slice it, you can dice it, and then you can use it for your gratitude email so that they make sense for the right person and they're segmented properly.
100%. You've got to have that data. That is paramount of everything that you do at your event. Is you've got to get that data. You got to get those names, because it's those names that are tied to those relationships, and those relationships are what fundraising is all about.
Absolutely. I always wish everybody bids that soar. I hope they crush their fundraising goals. I'll give you the last word today.
Oh my gosh. Well, friends, it's all about the experience that you are creating with your event. And I want you to design an amazing experience that your donors are never going to forget. Really leverage the opportunities that you have with your vendor partners that are out there. Bring together this amazing team and create something that donors have never seen before. And when you do that, you create those goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it right now. And when you create those goosebumps, that's where you've created something magical. And it's that magic that your donors are never going to forget, and they're going to be with you forever. And then that's the fundraising that fuels your mission.